man.
And we're live. I'm going to take Harley off. Remove. We'll see you later, Harley. He'll come back on. 0 watchers right now. How's everybody doing? Who's back?
Great.
Who was here last week? Me, Heather?
Not me.
Tyler?
Yep.
Sick. Oh, okay. If you're here, comment in the chat. Remember, guys, like and subscribe. There's a lot of, I guess there's a lot of pollen in the air. I hate when my voice gets scratchy like this. It feels like I'm losing it. It sucks.
Have you been taking your allergy pills?
I have. Well, not when I was in Canada, but now I have. Renata, what's up, Renata? Hello. Guys, we're getting big time. You know, we're getting so huge out here on the in the fitness category and on our lives.
Nice.
We're not.
Are we here to be searched? I feel like members still ask me. They can't find us.
Can't find us. And that's okay. Hey, algorithms. You know, the other thing, you know what I learned recently about the algorithms? Because they do the updates all the time and you can look at, they're just like business reviewers and stats. Now on Instagram, which I'm really happy about, is they prioritize number one, quality over so if you're shooting with your iPhone, you know how like these influencers just shoot with their iPhone. Well, they know it's an iOS iPhone and they know that like the quality, even though it says 4K, well, you know that the iOS iPhone is not 4K. It's pixelated and then that fills in the pixels based on the AI algorithm they have. So the picture is not actually a 4K picture. It's a simulated fake picture. If you follow law and anything else, and during the BLM stuff with Kyle Rittenhouse, that was one of the things that came into play in the lawsuit. Well, I guess criminal trial, not even lawsuit, because it's a fabricated video because of the camera adding in pixels because of the algorithm. So it's not admissible in court in certain instances. It's crazy. It was a whole thing I learned and I was like, oh, this is wild. But anyways, back to it. So like the camera I have, when I post stuff, I get pushed further than somebody who's using their iPhone, which was kind of nice.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Same with photography. Like it knows whether it's an AI generated or edited in some way because it on the back end, your script is there because it gets interlaid into the photo. Like if you pull up a photo on your computer and you go info, it'll give you a bunch of info on the photo itself, which most people don't look at. It's able to read that information as the file gets uploaded and it'll know that it's like not 100%. And Peter McKinnon went over this actually recently about it all because he uploaded a photo that he took with this film that makes, I think, green colors red. And they made this film in World War II to take pictures so they could find people hiding in camouflage. So you take the picture for surveillance. I learned all this from the photography. So they would take the picture, then they take it and they bring out the picture, and then they have the surveillance of like where the bunkers, and they show up red instead of the green. And he took a picture with that film picture, turned it into digital, posted on Instagram, and Instagram's algorithm, because it's unnatural, quote unquote, flagged it as AI. This was early on when they brought in the AI into Instagram. And he was like, I took this photo with a film camera, then digitized it and put it on the internet. I made no adjustments. And he showed all that in a YouTube episode. So it's like the thing is looking for certain things, which is great. But it's also interesting that like you have these hardcore photographers who are getting paid a lot of money to take photography, film, and video and putting up really unique pieces of content that are artistry versus somebody using Lightroom and changing the color of the flowers from green to red, you know, crazy though. But yeah, they came out with that. So like, it's going to read the back end of the file that's been uploaded and it will prioritize people using higher quality stuff, which is cool. Cause
that's cool. Yeah.
I'm a purist like that. I didn't like the iPhone shit. Like, you know, when people be like, oh yeah, the iPhone photos take better photos and like this, that, the other. It's like, no,
they don't.
No, it doesn't.
When you actually compare the two, they don't.
Look at them side by side.
I wish they did. I wish they were the same, but they're not. They're different.
Yeah.
If you,
what kind of camera do you have, Todd? I've always wondered that.
Can't tell you on the internet.
Okay.
Now that
in the private chat.
I'll send you a private message.
I'll text you.
Put me in the private chat.
Listen, now that they prioritize that kind of stuff, I ain't gonna try to give out the secrets. We're
Give
5
out the
minutes
secret
in.
sauce.
Yeah, I want to get
That's
a
true.
camera.
That's too good for 5 minutes in. You gotta.
I want to get a camera for here, so then my video right here looks amazing. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You can just get one of those light rings that influencers do.
Hey, comment in the chat if you guys
People that do their makeup. Yeah. Just kidding.
if you use AI for your Instagram posts or photography. I want to know. All right. No one's going to comment in the chat. We do have watchers though, which is great. So today I was inspired. I was inspired by, I don't know. I don't even actually know how this came up, to be honest, but I shared it with Noah, and man, how did it come up?
I think you can answer that.
I don't even know. Somehow it came up.
The inspiration.
Yeah, somehow it came up. I was just like, okay, I hate how people, well, yeah, like I posted on my Instagram the other day about how like you don't need another workout. You need principles and systems. And I think it just came up because I was thinking about all the people I felt like, and people have said, I felt like a workout factory, like constantly. Like people just want like, what's my next training session? You know, individual athletes.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was just like, oh, dude, I'm nothing but a workout factory. Like that's all I am to them sometimes, which makes me sad a little bit. But then I'm like, how do we get people to like know that like it's not just the next workout, you know? And I was also it came up. Someone was arguing about it's because the sport of CrossFit right now and how people. Tristan, yes, you are. I'm a workout factory. I know, Oompa Loompa over here. Jeez Louise. No, it came up because like the sport of fitness, like the argument, because like WFP and the test of fitness and how CrossFit rose. And like I've always been a big advocate for this, and maybe it's just because I'm OG, and people who are OG remember when Greg and Dave talked about how this is a test of training methodologies, and they use that clip a lot. And somehow it's gotten skewed of like CrossFit is the test. It is the test of fitness, but originally it wasn't. It was the argument that other training methodologies could not make someone as fit as this methodology. And that's why they had the games, and that's why it was open source. And that's why there's CrossFit.com and the message board was like, hey, you think you're fit? Free. It's free. Go ahead, put your score in, and we'll invite you out to Aromas and we'll compete to see if you have a better way of doing this. Originally. Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that even .com now and just general true varied training is just a testing body daily.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Versus what Greg would do if you go, because like I was thinking about this, dude, you want workouts in the space, bro, go to CrossFit. Let's just go to CrossFit.com. I think most people don't realize this. Like Tristan's in the comments here, and
they had a phenomenal one just 2 days ago.
Here we go.
Beautiful one.
You go up here and you go to workouts and you say, all right, explore workouts. How many people, comment in the chat, have clicked explore workouts? I know us coaches have. Then you can go to year, and you have since 2001. So what is that? 24 years of a workout. Like someone do the math. 52 weeks in a year. They do 5 workouts a week times 24 years. I could go to
use that as averages. Yeah, because 3 on, 1 off. So I think it probably wouldn't necessarily always work out that way, but it's close enough.
Yeah, close enough. 6,240 workouts to choose from. Here we go.
It's not enough, man.
Like all of the workouts. Look at Tristan. I've spent more time on that webpage than I will ever. Me too, dude. Me too. That's why I'm talking about it right now. But like
that's a classic.
JT's a good workout.
I love JT.
JT Rex, man.
Oh, dude. So good.
Let's not get sidetracked.
Rock and pump.
Unless you have something to add about workouts, they'll get sidetracked.
Bro, deadlift.
It was right there.
Clean, front squat, push jerk.
Yeah.
All right, I'll stop.
So the thing is, like, that's what's wild to me. Like, people will pay $49. No hate on you, Tristan, because I know Ascent athletes $49 a month for their blog. But that's true for Mayhem. That's true for. I want to know why people are paying any money for a program. Like, if you pay for a CrossFit gym, I get it. You're coming in to see a person, a human being, in a room with lots of other human beings with all the equipment you need, hopefully, good program design, community, drive, desire, motivation, all of the things that you need, accountability.
I think they believe that there's some rhyme or reason to it that makes it better than just doing one workout a day.
Good.
And that they believe that someone else, that these
Bro,
brands can do it better than they can organizing their own. So they're willing to pay $50 to get, instead of one workout a day, they want their A through D and have a structure to their week, or structure their day, balance their week, and rhyme or reason to their year.
Sure. But I would argue with not just the affiliates around the world, because they're diminishing, but there's a lot of the 8,000 to 10,000, let's say. And then there's F45s, and there's these boot camps and these things and those things in your local area. Why are you in your garage doing Mayhem when you could do .com for fucking free? Like, because Harley is correct. They do believe in that stuff, right? And I agree with that. I agree with what he's saying, but I also am on the side of, like, 6,000 workouts. You can't find a workout for you to do today instead of paying some blog program.
I think the belief in the buy-in is the magic there.
There we go. Mike Hughes, because they're better than us.
That's also true.
Yeah, you're just better. I just do Mayhem. Oh yeah, you're better than me. That's what it is. You're better.
You're God's favorite. Got it. Check.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's, if you're not doing something specific to you and specific to your goals, bro, what are we doing? Like, what is the industry doing? And that's what motivated.
We're working out, bro.
I know, but that's what motivated this talk today. And, like, thank you for coming to my Todd Talk. That Noah so graciously aligned to make more seamless to what we're doing. But, like, there's so much programming out there. And yes, Harley is correct. I think some is really good, some is really bad, some is better than others. I would argue that you should just go to your local affiliate. And we won't even get on the topic of affiliates that are buying program design from said organization. I want to punch them. Now, do I think that you can buy it and use it as a template or idea generation, using some cycles, some things you like, some things you dislike? Like, I was texting Tristan just yesterday about, they put up the Ascent Athlete blog, and I was like, thank the heavens that you guys are labeling a VO2 max session and it actually being a VO2 max session. Because the amount of people I have seen recently post doing VO2 max and it's a 20-minute AMRAP.
How about the opposite? How about zone 2 people that are just doing crazy, like, loaded implements? Like, there was this one guy in the gym said zone 2 today, and it was like every 6 minutes, sled push, air squat, and then run remaining time. I'm like, no fucking way, dude.
No way. That's so.
No fucking way.
How heavy was a sled? Well, after
Dude, he's a doctor.
Let me see your heart rate. After that, the second their hands come off the poles, what's your heart rate? 150 guaranteed. Minimum. Bro, you're not, unless you got a high heart rate zone, which some people actually are pretty close to 150. But most people
this is equivalent to the I'm swimming for active recovery, but I suck at swimming.
Kill me. Oh, you
well, only if you're good at swimming.
Yeah, you're a collegiate swimmer? Dang, bro.
Yeah.
You got that type of background? Shit. I'll be out there. I will, like, Heather would drown, Me too. But oh my God.
Hippos are great at swimming, dude. Hippo season, baby.
Very buoyant.
Oh man, here we go. Josh just throwing this guy under the bus.
Someone had to throw
wait. Well, Harley was doing the Echo bike next to him that day.
True story, dude.
Zone 2 is whacking.
Zone 2 is whack.
Tristan does hate Zone 2. We've talked about that.
It is overrated, I think, for a lot of people. But
yeah,
Yes, I just said that to trigger Todd. See, he knows how I feel. I think what we've said about, well, I don't want to get deterred or not deterred, derailed, but
Okay.
Zone 2 is limitless, assuming you got all your other ducks in the row. And I know that Tristan would agree with that. But
it's not going to be a cure-all for sure.
100%. No. But he knows it triggers me when people say stuff like that.
All right. So what bullet point are we on in our outline?
We're not. We're still setting the stage. It's only
okay. Are we? No, it laughs.
Listen, we're only setting the stage. The point of it all is like, okay, because we are a coaching company. Tristan's in the chat. He's got a coaching company. He's great. I think we're great. I sound like Donald Trump. We're great. I love
the best.
We're the best. We're the best. No one's better than us. Okay. We got the best programs. We have the best toast to bar. We put our thumbs around the bar. We're the best. No one is better than us. Anyways. Shucks. No, but there are programs. Even though I bring up Mayhem, and Mayhem's made a big shift because Dom, who I used to work with at Brute, now works with them. Brennan Dorman from Training Think Tank now works with them. And you see a huge shift in their program design.
Huge.
Gorman is coming around from WOD Science, and he's now doing lactate testing in a mixed modal setting with people. And James Fitzgerald and Mike Fitzgerald from OPT, OPEX, as some people know more regularly, have been doing that for years. I know that Training Think Tank has done that. So it's not new. It's just new to people's eyes and how to do that and set those parameters for training zones in mixed modal settings. And, that stuff is going to make programming a lot smarter. If you're Harley and you have a kinesiology, exercise science background, and you got your CSCS and you take continuing education units.
Nope, it lapsed.
Stop shaking your head. You took continuing education. Stop playing. Anyways, you have that knowledge and that education and that experience. Yeah, you can make really good programs. And I know that those programs and those things are getting better. And I think it's great. It's better than .com. But my point to that is what I was furious about was that we're all just looked at as workout factories when we're not. We are taking methods and principles and applying them appropriately in the appropriate situation. And my gripe with these affiliates taking someone's program and implementing a program that was written by Mayhem, and all they do is go, oh yeah, it dumps right into the sugar wad. And the owner and the head coaches and coaches just run the program, no adjustment, nothing. Hey guys, the stimulus today is you don't know anything about anything. You're running a program that you didn't build. It's not meant for your people. Are you even tracking whether people are able to do it? How are they doing it? What are the things they're doing? What's the progression going to be? What are the cycles going to change to? Are you noticing, for us in the Community Cup, a lot of our people, they did the overhead squats, but they were super challenging, and we got to work on depth and overhead mobility and the volume of that and the tolerance of it. So now I'm layering that into our training to fill the hole. If we paid for Mayhem, no one's doing that. They just, whatever. Here's the next program. And so because of that, I just wanted to lay that out as the preface of it all of this is where my frustration came from, that people are mistaking methods and other program design for actual training that get them better. That's why I make the argument. You could just do .com. You got 6,000 workouts. You want a workout factory, but then you also want to get better. Or you own a gym and you're just, why are people paying you when I would argue half of the job, and you guys could argue with this, half of the job is writing the program design for the members or athletes that you coach?
I don't know, man. I just copy and pasted a workout from .com today. I'm plagiarizing. I'm plagiarizing, dude.
Well, here's the thing though. I would argue if you're copy and pasting with the intentionality of that individual and what they need, I don't think that's a bad thing. Because
they just sent me the workout and they're like, I like this one. And so I said, okay, here you go, bud.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
That's not actually true. He did send it to me, but we've been working on developing the heel hook for his rope climbs. And it is a rope climb specific workout.
It's the worst way to climb a rope, but move on.
That's the way I climb a rope, and I'm way better than you at climbing a rope.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're-
right.
Oh,
Nice.
We're dead, dude. We're dead equal. We're dead. You know that. We're dead. You know that. You're very good. I don't want to take that away from you, but you and I both know.
I mean, he's not even saying he's better than you. He's saying you're equal.
Yeah, you know. I just wanted to hit on the heel hook because I don't like it.
That's fine. I just like to slide down with it.
Dude, what's crazy, even though it's a tangent, you are very good at that slide down. There's so many people not good at the heel hook slide down. It's crazy.
I
It's
just
like
let
that's-
go.
Right, but that's why you heel hook. But yet so many people, it blows my mind. I'm like, well, don't do that then.
Yeah,
Or
I
be
got
like
this.
me
Yeah.
and just
Anyways, I don't want to digress too far, but anyways,
we're the same.
yeah, and all of the point of me copy and pasting and then giving my rationale of why I did it for this specific athlete is it did align with, the previous 4 weeks of development that we've been putting into his rope climb new technique. And it's just a way to intensify or actually put it into a sport specific setting because he's also preparing for monster games.
Boom.
That said, they probably aren't going to climb a rope on dry land because they're climbing a rope out of the pool. But that said, it is sport specific to, the game he wants to play. And it's testing and applying the skill work we've been working on towards it. So what I'm trying to get at is the workouts don't necessarily matter all the time, like what it is exactly, as long as it is building in line with what the individual needs are. So,
Right. Well, and that layers in from like last week's talk that we were talking about. And like my argument of like good program design is good coaching based on what you just said. Like when you pull apart everything you just said, it's like, how do you build the next day, week, month, all matters. And what you're describing is you're looking at the athlete themselves and decoding like what they specifically need to develop them in the thing that they want to achieve. And that's not specific to just elite level athletes. That's everybody.
Mhm.
And then layering into the art of good coaching is like, I looked at that. I was like, oh, this would be perfect for a lot of people. And then he sends it to me. Right. And he's like, this looks like a really good one. Cool. By me putting it in there a week and a half, 2 weeks later, he's going to look at that and be like, oh, wow, he's really paying attention to our conversations. And then that's creating greater buy-in to our relationship and our dialogue. And I think that like there's something to be said for the individualization and that personal connection that goes into this coaching dynamic as well.
Yeah, 100%. And like you could generally say nothing to them. You'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll work on it. And then 2 weeks later, it goes in the programming. Like that was it. There's no like feedback. There's no additional conversation. It's like you asked for the thing. We've built some of it. You got the thing. Boom. That's wonderful coaching. So like good programming is where it started. And like you listening, observing, and evaluating, and then taking action in the program design is what creates what you're talking about.
Correct.
Which is amazing. I just want to break it down again for people who are listening. So they're like really letting this sink in. But anyways, the article that I sent over to Noah was that training means and training methods. And I think a lot of people in CrossFit are really focused with training means. And like they give some examples here in this thing of like, we have to do kettlebell work. We have to Olympic lift. We should do our conditioning. What day should we squat and what days should we deadlift? Like those are like means or movement selections, right? And then you have like training methods beyond the barbells, the kettlebells, the dumbbells, the row, the bike. Those are all means. And then like methods would be the rep tempos, the rest intervals, the training session duration, the training volume, or using CrossFit as a training methodology, or what Hyrox is trying to do and create their system with also a methodology, not, and I think people don't understand that like a training system and methodology, unless you guys disagree, I think are synonymous. Anyone disagree? Cool. All right. So when we
I just think I would clear up the use of Hyrox and saying that like a lot of people think of Hyrox as the event and don't even understand that they offer programming outside of that. So
fair. Good.
Just acknowledging that just for the sake of interpretation.
Yeah. Sorry guys. The Hyrox affiliates and organization and education do have a training program to follow, and they give that to the coaches within the affiliate for free within the affiliate program that they have. So it is a quote unquote method or system that they believe will prep you and prepare you for Hyrox, like Harley's saying. Was that good? That's good clarity. But yeah, so like the training methods and means, the methods themselves are what I would say really matter. The means is what people focus on a lot in CrossFit. Like, hey, I haven't done toes to bar this week. And I think that's ineffective. I think a lot of people are focused on means or quote unquote a workout, right? Like that's why I say the workout factory from the beginning is like, I need to do toes to bar under fatigue. It's like, that's a means. That's not a method or a principle. That's where I was like, why I posted on Instagram. You don't need another workout. You need, systems to get better. Is that it's clear? Anyone want to add to that idea there? Because the other like mean would be time domains, which I have a huge gripe with. I hate this. I hate it in CrossFit. Well, we gotta go long. We gotta go short. We gotta go medium. Oh, but I haven't touched the 12-minute time domain yet. What does that mean? Someone help me understand that, please, right now. Like, why do people say that? Have any of you guys said that? Yeah, we gotta have a 12-minute workout.
I don't say we need. Sorry, go ahead, Noah.
I think a lot of people get it from like the L1, but I don't think the L1 means it in that way where they're like, well, Monday we did a 5-minute sprint. So like on Wednesday, we need to do a 20-minute endurance workout, which just being very, very basic. But I don't think people really understand what they mean whenever they want to apply that. Whereas like, yeah, we want to do a longer enduring workout, but like 20 minutes of like one deadlift at like 20 minutes of King Kong is different than 20 minutes of 100 meter or 500 meter bike, 500 meter ski, 500 meter rope, if that makes any sense.
That is different. Yeah, those are vastly.
Have you ever done 20 minutes of King Kong, Noah?
No. I don't think I ever will.
I would do 20 minutes of King Kong. You go way slower.
That's the only way I've ever done it. Like literally.
No, that's a lie.
Whatever.
I promise.
No.
Sure.
You could do King Kong in under 5 minutes, bro. At your best.
No. I'm saying a 20-minute AMRAP of King Kong over and over and over again.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought you meant you.
I think I did King Kong 3 times over in 20 minutes.
Got it. Okay. I thought
it was dumb. Anyways,
I thought you meant it would take you 20 minutes.
Very different than a 5K run, though, right, Noah? Both around the 20.
Very, very different.
Well, yeah, that was a perfect example that Noah gave. Like he gives the King Kong 20 minutes, he gives the Sickle Machine, but they're both 20 minutes, and that means nothing. Just like Harley was saying to the guy about the guys, Harley sitting on the bike and watching do zone 2 when he's not doing zone 2. Like it's just like an arbitrary ass thing that was created. And even Tristan in here is like, means you haven't worked out for 12 minutes, which is absolutely no different from 13, but somehow it's important. Like if like 2 days ago you worked out for 13 minutes, well, you know what? I haven't worked out for 12 minutes. And me working out for 12 minutes is the secret to working out better.
Like, no offense, Todd, but I think 13 minutes is way more valuable than 12 minutes.
Oh God. Yeah, you get a whole extra minute
at 13 than 12. Way more oxidative.
Oh God. That's true. Hey, you're right. No, but like that's the point is the training themselves, like the method that they're trying to use, that they're calling a method, it gets so misconstrued in level 1 that what you're talking about is the layer that they don't explain because they don't have enough time to explain it. But the reason why they want a 5-minute workout is because they want the quote unquote anaerobic system. Then they want the 5 to 15-minute workout to maybe even 20-minute workout because they want the glycolytic system. And then beyond 20 minutes for the aerobic system. They do explain that, but it's such a reductionist model that people now sit around in a CrossFit gym and coaches and just go, well, the intention here is to go for 13 minutes. And it's like, dude, you realize that like you're doing all 3 of those energy systems all the time. They don't just shut off because you're in a magic time zone. Like, what are you going to say, Harley?
No, I'm just laughing at you. You're good.
I thought you were going to say you turned off your mic. So I was like, all right. Marissa said, make it a 33-minute workout and I'm in. Harley wants to do Cody wants to do a 3-minute King Kong, which you're not doing. Sorry, bro. I don't think you can. I've done King Kong and like, it comes down, like people don't think, but it comes down to because we all can do the deadlift and the clean. So it comes down to your speed on ring muscle handstand push-up on the deficit.
I would have said it came down to the clean.
Sure.
255. I think it's just heavy enough that people slow down. But anyways.
Sure.
Yeah, I describe it generally when speaking in the layman's terms, for a class, and thinking about like program design for true GPP and the affiliate, I do think of it in terms as like short, medium, long, but not down to the minute, right? Like I do look at the parameters of what's involved in the session, but I do think about like if I use it as a categorization of balance across the week so that it's easy to articulate to the membership basis who don't understand shit.
Well,
some of them do, but
additionally, to add to that, in a class model, and like if you go outside the class to the one-on-one, then it doesn't make a lot of sense. But in a class model, that 12 to 15 minute workout time works really well in a class model. So that's why you see that time domain the most. Now, I would argue that time domain itself is very effective generally when you're trying to train for GPP and health and fitness. But then the means of that and the method of that becomes really important, like what Noah said. Because I would argue most people, if we're just talking base level fitness, would benefit from doing different time domains on a Echo bike. And that's it. Then they do squatting and pressing and strength work, and you never have to touch mixed modal training. Now, if you want to do well at CrossFit or High Rocks or Spartan racing or any of that, then you got to do mixed modal training and change that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you just described is strength and conditioning, and it's valuable, like for the most part, right? Like creating true structure and balance, and then actually involving the conditioning aspect of it, because I think that gets left to the wayside, because most people who are strength and conditioning coaches are working with athletes that play their game, and a lot of times they use their game and scrimmages for their conditioning many times, and so that's lacking. But I think for general population, you can get a lot of value from just a truly balanced strength and conditioning approach to training without as much mixed modal exposure, unless they want to play a mixed modal game.
Yeah, and that it's coming out a lot because people do like the variance, which is good. But so like even for elite athletes, because they're playing that game or they're high roxing, like you got to expose them to it. And you might find that somebody, is not like Tristan's question here is question for the group. Since we know the time domain thing is whatever, you find yourself assigning time domains almost last in workout creation. And I would say yes, most of the time, because I want to get the volume. I want to get certain turnovers, or I want certain intervals to produce either a more powerful athlete, or I string it out longer because I want more of an enduring athlete. So like reps, volume, speed, whether it's repeatability, those things are considered first. The time is the constraint that allows me to write a program, like the bumpers of what that is. Rest intervals I use a lot, like Harley also does, is from CSCS Strength and Conditioning, what they've tested over and over and over of what works. I made the joke the other day in class where I was like, would you guys do this piece? They had to go for 2 minutes of work, and I was trying to push them as hard as we could. And I gave them a 2-minute rest because that's all you have time for in a class. If it was an elite athlete, the work we were doing, I would have had them rest 5 to 6 minutes, because that's the actual time to recover based on the science and principles to allow them to express maximal speed and adaptation in the 2 minutes. And then the sets are dictated on the total volume of work that person can handle. Mm-hmm. Whereas a class, you can't really do that. But I did ask them if like they would rest that long. And most of them were like, fuck no. Like, I'd be like, I'm out of here. I'm not getting a good workout. I was like, oh, shit.
Well, how many times have you programmed that for your elite athletes, though? And they're like, oh, I actually feel really recovered, so I just didn't rest that long.
Well, when they say that, I say, you're dumb.
Right. And you didn't go as hard as
you should feel recovered.
Right.
And that's why you felt recovered, is because I programmed it perfectly and I gave you the best coaching in the world, and now you're ignoring it.
Yeah. Someone just last week or 2 weeks ago, I gave them a session and it was 1-to-1 rest, but it was like an every 10-minute situation or every 12-minute situation. And it turned out to be about 1-to-1 rest. And she was like, oh, I didn't need 5 minutes of rest. So like, I think that it was a little under programmed. And I was like, no, like, I think that was perfect. I was like, most aerobic development, intervals are 1-to-1 many a time. And I think that, that being fully recovered is a good thing because it allows you to express intensity, and actually hit a stimulating output.
Yeah.
That said, going back to your anecdote about asking the class members, would you rest this long? I just literally yesterday's class workout was every 7 minutes for 5 sets. So a 35-minute interval session. And a lot of people, it would fill up about 5 minutes. And they're only getting 2 minutes of rest. And to your point, it's like that format's not necessarily the perfect work to rest ratio by any means whatsoever. And I had a conversation with a guy who's a little bit higher level in the group. And I said, yeah, man, to be clear, like if I wrote this for someone else, it would not be on the 7 minutes. It would have been 5 sets of this with 3 to 4 minutes of rest to allow like true repeatability of output.
Right. And even Tristan's coming in with this workout. They ran everybody through an anaerobic echo bike progression. I would argue you might have wanted to go a little less than 20 seconds because 20 seconds may not be max effort as much. I mean, it still is in the context of CrossFit. But if we were like running on the track, that's a little long. And then the 3-minute rest, which is the perfect amount of rest in CSCS, he would get that question correct. And then 6 sets. And then people had no idea what happened to them because it allows the opportunity to express maximal effort. And like we were out, Harley and I right now, I think he's into it as much as I am, but the sprinting stuff. And literally like one of the training things on this podcast I was listening to legit did 2 60 meters. Elite level sprinters. That was their work. Their quote unquote work. They obviously had to warm up and everything else, all that stuff. But like that was their day. They came to the track. They're there for 4 hours doing all kinds of, all the stuff they got to do, recovery, prep, starting, stretching, drills, blah, blah, working from start to finish. But their actual work, adaptational work to get better at their 100-meter sprint was 2 by 60 meters. That's it. And
I bet the rest between the two was a lot.
Full recovery.
Like, and by full, like we're talking like 4 to 6 minutes.
Yeah, even like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're trying
minimum.
He didn't specify, but it's like, you're trying to get that. You're trying to get that speed. You're trying to get that go. So you're not ready, don't go. You know what I mean?
Because if
I think a lot of people don't understand that because they can't put a number to it because they don't know what that speed would feel like, or they just don't understand like track or sprinting or anything like that. It's like an easy way to compare it to would be like the same energy system, which would be anaerobic. You could compare it to like a powerlifter, where it's like you're going for a max effort. Like if you're going to do like a conjugate system, you're going for a max effort single of the day. You're not going to work up to 100% of your 1RM of whatever means that you're using that day, resting 1 minute in between exercises to reach your full potential. And I think a lot more people can grasp on that more than like the 2 by 60 meter, but like it makes perfect sense to us. But then you look at someone who's a powerlifter and you're like, yeah, it makes perfect sense that they would only squat 1,000 pounds once in their training session.
Yeah,
it's a lot more easier for people to grasp on that. Huh?
But people want to feel tired. They want to feel like they're
that's
right.
Tired. That's right. Okay. Sorry. Yes. People want to feel fatigued because they feel like they got a good adaptation. Or get right. When you remember that.
But that's like it's like that type of programming is insufficient to the athlete though, right? Because like Harley is correct. That's what people want to do and they want to feel. Just like some people are like, no, they told me they're like, I wouldn't rest 6 minutes. I'd rest another minute maybe. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I was like, man,
maybe that rest.
That's fine. But like, what if I got you to buy in to the best adaptation? You know what I mean? Because they're dampening what is possible by like what Harley said, wanting to feel tired.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me. And that's where we've had this problem with these methods or people just using means as the way to train somebody rather than like, well, what are the scientific principles? What have we seen anecdotally in high level athletics to make the best humans in the world? Because if we can trickle down, 20 to 30% of that to everyone, because like someone said the other day, I laughed. I was like, they're not wrong. I think it was Jason Hopper basically said, CrossFitters are failed elite athletes. I like died because it's true. You look at everybody, like, yeah, there's kids coming, like James Sprague and them, like they started as kids, but nobody, like Jason, I would say is probably one of the highest level, like athletes. Jorge Fernandez, I know, played minor league baseball. That's high level, but minor league, never got to the pros, right?
Still really high level.
I think minor league is equal to above a collegiate athlete for sure. But Clemson is different.
I would say above. I would say above for the minor league.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, there wasn't the pros. It wasn't MLB, right?
Sure.
And I laughed because I was like, that's true. Like you don't see elite level people come into the space because they're so good at other sports. They don't need
what they're doing. Yeah.
Oh, they make millions of other things. And honestly, like if they did come in, like look
CrossFit's Plan B.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Tyson Bagent, right? The amount of CrossFit he does. And I know people are going to hate or whatever, but like the open announcement with him doing it next to those guys, those are the best guys in the world. He did phenomenally well. And if he spent the amount of time they spend training, tell me he wouldn't be just as good. Yeah, he would. And I think every elite athlete would. So my point to that is like, you have these high performers that are not super elite, but they can benefit from world-class Olympians, training programs, and everything else trickling down. Those same people can create things that trickle down to people like Renata, which I would like for you, if you're still listening, to clarify what you're saying, because I'm kind of confused. I'm just trying to learn, comparing today and tomorrow through though our different stimulus with two different time domains, though one more endurance versus pushing the envelope today. Do you purposely program those a certain way? I guess I kind of get it, but yet, like, yeah. So the time domains yesterday and today are the same. It's 20 minutes, but the way I made them elicit different adaptations and intentions. Also, the way I coach them and giving the coaches videos to the coaches is very different too, which is quote unquote the intention. Like today was a 5-minute window for 4 sets. Yesterday's was, I forget yesterday's now. I'm drawing a blank, but I told everyone, try to EMOM the movements, the 3 movements you have. Do this in the minute, do this in the minute, do this in the minute, get done in 3 minutes, have 2-minute rest.
What was the 5-minute windows? What was the time between them? Or was it just like 5 minutes here?
5-minute window. And what I did was when people weren't getting the 3 minutes after the first round, I came by and lowered the reps because I want to keep the rate of travel high. Mm-hmm. Now they're getting less volume than somebody else, but it's like, well, that's fitness though. Like move faster, right? And if we don't move fast, we're not going to move fast. We can address the volume issue later. Guess what? Come to class tomorrow. We're going to work out for 45 minutes and accumulate volume. So I know that as the program designer. So I'm balancing their stuff through lots of different lenses of how to use methods, means, principles to equate better fitness for the people that are standing in front of me or the one-on-one athletes that I coach. Hopefully, I think that answered the question because I was like, oh man, couldn't understand it, but I think now I understand it. But anyways, Marissa saying, Tyson said it was plan B because he knows he slams it. Oh yeah. Because Tyson had that interview that was like, oh, I'm just going to CrossFit my face off and try to go to the CrossFit games. And it was the same thing with Hopper. Was it the tier? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's the tier video, I think, or one of the videos about Hopper being good. And they showed clips of him playing at Clemson and he was a good player and he was a walk-on. And in that video, he was just basically was like, I wasn't going to make the NFL and I was doing well at CrossFit. And I was like, I'm going to do this. First year in a CrossFit wins the MAC. Yeah. You know, like, and a lot of people had a lot of hate. I remember a conversation with Scott Panchik and Ralph, and they're like, oh, he's a flash in the pan. I was like, no, he's not. This guy's the real deal. Look at him now. I've scrolled back and screenshotted my conversation with them and sent it over a couple of days ago because I was just like, what do you think? But I mean, it's really interesting. And a lot of those people are benefiting from phenomenal training programs. Not just like a method of CrossFit of, hey, we got to go long, short, heavy. We got to do this time domain, that time domain. You know, they're doing real, true energy system work broken up. And that's why, like, I think even our gym are benefiting a ton from the stuff that I'm writing, because I'm looking at it through that lens and trying to develop those systems more effectively.
So systems aside, you made a comment earlier about your community cup experience and watching, you know, people have hard time with movement quality. And you said like, oh, we'll work on that. So what are some ways that you're going to implement that into the affiliate program to accommodate the masses limitations?
More overhead squats. Generally,
tell them that just push your knees out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, go deeper.
No, so like your movement selection, like Harley's alluding to, can develop and train people. And often that's more of the coaching than I would like to admit. I think your choices of the movements that you give to athletes, whether it's one-on-one or in a class, is the coaching. Like, yeah, I could tell you, hey, push your knees out. And Harley jokes, because that is effective at low tier level. Eventually, you have someone squatting with pretty good economy, personal movement economy, and personal efficiency. And you're going to make tweaks here and there. And maybe you give some corrective exercises because they shift to the right or they shift to the left, or, you know, they can't stabilize a bar overhead. But a lot of things that you got to do is like, okay, let's just start with the structure. How many of our people can hold the bar overhead midfoot? Okay, we'll start there. So then the movement selection of what we're going to do to elicit more people holding the bar midfoot overhead, those are going to dictate my choices for those movements. The volume doesn't matter to me. I'm going to go with classic reps and sets, and we're just going to do like 5 to 10 reps, anywhere from 3 to 4 sets. Give them some training. More times I will do higher reps, light load. I've done a thing where we've done banded overhead squats, which everybody hates and they think it's a scale. But actually, if you want to get good at overhead squats, you might want to give them a try and put your whole heart and soul into them.
You mean hold the band in your hand looped around your feet, or like RNT? RNT.
Around your feet.
Okay.
Band your hand around. You can do RNT. I like those too. But that would be more for like hip and knee tracking and allow a vertical torso position.
Yeah.
Whereas I like the band around the feet because you have to create pressure overhead, stabilize the band through the shoulder, extend your chest, and work yourself rather.
I think the RNT also adds a layer into the like retraction of the shoulder blades and trying to actually like pull the bar back for someone who has like a anterior shoulder restriction where they can't really like externally rotate or create that stacked position.
Correct.
Just get some feedback.
So that works. Spanish overhead squats with light load also works for different reasons, not the reasons that Harley said. Like if you have somebody who can't get their hips and knees over their toes, and so their hips down and back, knees over the toes, squatting overhead, Spanish squat would be a great movement selection to fix that problem. Harley's internal rotation on the shoulders, RNT overhead squat would help fix that problem. The banded overhead squats, stability, positioning, proprioception, resistance, fixes those issues. Take those 3 movements, apply them consistently, regularly, and not really progressively, because you're also going to train overhead squat by itself with the barbell.
Yeah. So how would you implement that into someone's design for a given day?
This is where I'm going to have to say what I hate. It depends.
Oh, come on.
But let's just say
general blanket statement.
Let's just say they have a hard time getting their hips down below parallel, back with stability. I'm going to give them Spanish squats in the beginning of their training session to prime it. If they got access to a bamboo bar, we're going to go bamboo bar or PVC pipe or a light training bar to give them some type of feedback, not loaded, super heavy. And then same issue, we'll go into some behind the neck snatch balance to again prime to get into an overhead squat or snatch session. Those 2 movement patterns for somebody who can't get their hips down and back and knees over the toes and vertical torso, those 2 movement selections, and there's more that you could choose, will fix that problem. So I'm coaching you through movement selection and order of movements. I don't have to say anything because I've already addressed the problem by watching you visibly. I know what the issue is. I'm assigning the correct movement selection, the correct means, in the correct order, the right method, with the good tempos and whatever I need, bands, blah, blah, blah. And then we're progressively building that, all because I did an assessment of what you need, right? Where I do it with the GPP, a lot of warm up portion, add stuff in. They don't even know it. Specific overhead squat sessions, because it's a broad mass, it's not an individual, you know? And then, yeah, that GPP is pretty easy because you can get away with a lot more. Whereas elite athlete, it's like, it's got to be perfect. Precision matters.
Generally speaking, I think there are two camps, there's two perspectives I kind of take. Generally, like if it's just like someone's tight, restricted, and their movement quality gets better just with thorough warm up and positional work, great. I just like add it into the end of their warm up to like assure that they are getting some preparation for the main lift that they're going to do, depending on what, their limitation is. I think if someone has like a true like structural limitation where they absolutely need to improve their shoulder rotation stability and or their ability to like support weight overhead. So using your like bamboo bar, I often will actually put that at the end of a session sometimes after some pressing, so that like pre-fatigues the pecs and anterior shoulder, so that ideally that fatigue works in our favor to help them open up and not feel as restricted, because they have so much blood flow to that area.
Yeah.
And it harder. Yeah, and it makes it harder. So then it creates almost like a added layer of super compensation to like overcome this like already unstable environment and make it even more unstable. So of course, like they're not going to load it as heavy. Ideally, they're using common sense and being safe, but at the same time, like they are getting time under tension, gaining neurological stability and stabilization through that shoulder complex with an added layer of fatigue, and ideally greater range of motion, because they're as warm as they're going to get on any given day.
We're talking about practice.
Okay, Brandon Dorman.
Yeah.
He said that a lot.
I know. I mean, I'm serious. It's true.
I know.
It's not wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's what's so interesting about like program design beyond the joke of like a workout factory. And I think there's, obviously there's layers in coaches and there's development of coaches. And like we could go through solving those problems all day of a specific scenario. There are coaches that can't. There are gym owners that can't, because they're just paying for a program and they're using methods that they've just been regurgitated to hand out workouts.
Yeah.
Versus like what you're saying here, Harley. And I think just this piece of education and what we've been talking about is my like approach to bridging the gap, or just opening people's minds or thought process to have the conversation of like, how do we get over that? Because I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting study. I saw a post about it. I don't know how accurate it is, right? Like it's just Instagram scrolling moment.
100%. AI is ruling the world. It's probably so true.
It's so true. It's about AI. So it's about people who chronically use ChatGPT for like all aspects of their life, and their ability to think critically and retain information is like non-existent. And they've only, think about how long ChatGPT has been a thing. Only a couple years now, like if not less. Like, and even like it's gotten a lot better in the last like year. Like it's made leaps and bounds of how fast and how much quality is behind its delivery of information. But like that said, like if you can't think critically about a program design and you're just sort of regurgitating a program you're paying for, how much critical thinking is going into your community in the product you're delivering to them, right? Like that's just an example, the ChatGPT. But I would assume that if you're just copying and pasting and just sort of cruising through the coach's notes to be able to regurgitate that information, like you don't have an understanding that's going to like truly build up your community.
Even though Mike says allegedly that study was flawed to see who was using AI to read it. Funny joke.
Sick.
Meaning that people read anyways. AI gave them a brief of the study. Get it?
Sick.
That's what I think he's saying.
I think he's saying that, but I don't know.
Sounds like it.
He can correct us if we're wrong.
Well, what's funny is before AI, what they've done, and this is, where I don't want to attack classical education because I think it's great, but there is some level that we need to improve classical education. And, there are people, I'm gonna hate on CJ, but I love her because this is a fucking skill, dude. She's very smart and bright, but she's so good at test taking.
Dude, I'm so bad at it. I can't read a fucking question.
That's where they found the error. And you have to give tests though, but that's where they found the error, because there are people like CJ in the world, and there are a lot of them, and they get really good at this, and they don't pull in and hold. Not saying she doesn't. I'm just saying that she has a characteristic. They don't hold on to all the information, and they're just learning that piece and then giving it to the answer, and then they move on, because that's the system that's been created. So you get good at playing the system, and those people get a degree, but they don't remember basically anything. And they've done the research on this. Not saying that CJ's, I just use her example because she's a really good test taker, but there are people like that like are so far on the other end that they have this degree. And if you were to test them in cognitive replication of expertise, like Harley's talking about, they would fail at it because they don't fully understand the information, and they've already studied this. And there are people who have a 4-year degree and even doctor degrees that cannot tell you basic principles and understanding because they didn't digest it and really like soak it in for whatever reason.
That's the interesting part about this conversation, because we talk about coaching, training weekly, and I would like to think I, at the very least, sound intelligent. I had conversations with that seminar staff at the tactical strength conditioning seminar I went to a few weeks ago. And they're like, oh, you retain the information so well. I was like, oh, like whatever. We had like very deep conversations about cycling and all these different like training things. And I feel intelligent in those conversations. Then I went and took the practice test for the TSAC certification. And it's because I misread some questions. So I jokingly was like, I can't read a question, because I just like was trying to go too quick kind of. And then secondly, like I don't remember, they try to trick you for sure. And I didn't remember all of the like charts, like the NSCA like textbook charts, and it's all written out for you.
So many.
And I just didn't. It's been 10 years, not 10 years, but it's been literally 7 years. And I'm like, I haven't looked at those specific pieces of information in a while. Well, I feel real dumb now, but I'm going to work on that.
No, dude, there's people on the internet that you pay to help them like basically like study for the CSCS now, because they are doing that. And the questions that they ask and the charts, like you have to know the exact rest interval or you get the answer wrong. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my bad. It was supposed to be 20 seconds and I put 10, but they don't have that leeway. It's like,
it's not a range. It's like, this is it.
Would it really kill them if they rested for 10 instead of 20? Why am I getting an F on this right now?
For sure. It's all or nothing. So yeah, I'm going to work on that. But regardless, fun anecdote. It fell right in line with what you were just saying about not being able to, explain principles. And I like to think I can explain the principles and have thoughtful conversations, because I do think about this stuff a lot. Well, but it's the details of the association I'm going to be tested through.
Yeah. There's a level of, proficiency and understanding that you have to have, and like that kind of stuff where it's like, if they're testing you on velocity and force production, like you got to know that equation, right? But some of the theory or ideas, like they need to change, and this is for all education, really, they need to change that to like short answer or something like, and that's the argument people have in classical education, that like, there needs to be more there to fully solidify this person is going to get this degree and they know what they're talking about, because there's no real checks and balances. And I think that's where people get upset, and that's true for everything, but it is funny to see it like in the fitness space, because there's zero check and balance for an affiliate owner. Or coach, you are excited about it. You got $1,000. You convince your local affiliate owner to bring you on and coach. Boom. And the same thing's true in a lot of other industries as well. But like, that's what's crazy to me too. And that's what's frustrating, why we see these things. And like, hopefully that can wake some people up and see like, wow, there's a lot more here in program design that is a lot of coaching, because we're looking at, and I don't want to use the word diagnosing, but identifying issues and areas and opportunities, putting that into the subsequent weeks of training, finding the right drills, using the right means, using the right methods, rather than just writing a good sweaty workout, like Harley said, or just like, I see it happen all the time in competitive CrossFit. They just give people a bunch of volume and the cream rises to the top. The cream rises to the top because the cream rises to the top. That doesn't mean that your program's good. It means that you took 20,000 people gave a program and 10 of them, get good. It's like yesterday we had 8 people in a qualifying position for Desert City Classic. That doesn't happen on accident amongst the coaching staff, not just like me. It's like Harley's got some, Heather's got some, I have some, Marissa's got some. And it's like, that doesn't happen on accident. The stuff that Renat's talking about, our gym doing well and people getting fitter who are just moms and dads, doesn't happen on accident.
Yeah.
It can't, I don't even think it can, dude. I watch gyms. I don't know how people do it too. Like, think about like Proven, that program, like that affiliate program, bro. I would quit that gym. I'd be like, I can't do this every day.
Yeah. Well, that's like
some people are crazy.
I mean, when Erin, my one-on-one client that I've had forever, when she moved out to Arizona, and like every single gym in Arizona does mayhem. And she was just like, she just like she started, it was during COVID, and she started working out in her garage because she's like, I just get wrecked by it like every single day. And then we've just continued to work together forever. But,
I mean, don't get me wrong. You could personally go into something like that and bring down your own intensity.
Yeah.
But the culture of a CrossFit gym typically is like, come on, go. Everybody finishes. Wait for the last person to finish or you die. And like, I like that to a degree, but like what you're saying, how many people could come in and give that type of effort every day? Holy.
Just the cream that's rising to the top.
Yeah. And I mean, there's even weeks when I write program in here for the gym and I'm like, oh shit, that's way too much, but and even like on Monday, we did snatches only. We did wave snatches, heavy and light. And I was like, for 30 minutes. And I was like, hey, how was that received, Heather? And she was like, really good. People enjoyed it. It was great.
Yeah,
but I'm calling her on FaceTime because I'm concerned that it's going to get poorly received because it's not the norm. It's not what they're used to. I want them to get bought in, but, and it'll work better than being like, yeah, we're going to go double unders, toes to bar, and heavy snatches. And we're going to, every round, you're going to increase the load. And we're going to go 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 on the snatches. And we're going to go 20 toes to bar every time and 30 double unders every time. Okay, guys. All right, everybody ready? And we got to use the bathroom. All right, 3, 2, 1, go, baby.
It's a sick workout.
It's the most classic workout I could think of.
It's a good one, though.
You can have it.
Yesterday's class workout, like I said, every 7 minutes or 5 sets, 10 hang power snatches, 15 burpee box jump overs, 45 cal machine.
I would argue the machine was a little too long, but I get why it was.
It's just to make it aerobic, just to force people to stay sustainable.
What was your intended like working time that you wanted?
Stimulus. I wanted it to be under 5 minutes.
That's before we go, the working time, because back to like what Renato was saying, like think about it in general of demands. That's what I think about often. When like back to Tristan's thing, I don't think of like, if you want to do CrossFit and do qualifiers, hitting a 12 to 15 minute time domain of mixed modal work is the best thing you could do. It's fucking nauseating and terrible and hard, as Harley knows. But if you want to improve in that psychologically, emotionally, and get better and push through those time efforts, probably do that for a good block of training. Pull it back, do a good block of training, pull it back. But what I was saying about time efforts is like, if you got somebody who wants to run a little bit better, all right, see ya. 1,000 meters takes what, 5 minutes? So let's do 5-minute repeats of mixed modal work. Could improve your 1,000 meters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You want to do a longer effort thing. You want to do a 5K run, but you don't want to run, but you want to help that energy system. Cindy, you know, maybe even double Cindy, maybe even unweighted half Murph.
Well, it's like what you had Kayla and I do today.
Right. Yeah. They're doing a 15K. What'd you guys do?
We did a 45-minute AMRAP, 30 cals on the bike erg, 30 cals on the ski erg, and just try to hold like a low zone 4. So like kind of like what that was going to feel like just running for 45 minutes.
And what did you do on Monday?
Monday, I ran.
What did you do on Tuesday?
I ran.
You ran. Today, we're going to decompress, take some load off the joints, low impact. Tomorrow, you're going to rest. And then Friday, because it's 4th of July.
Actually, I'm running tomorrow again.
Oh, yeah, because we got to get volume because you.
Yeah. Normally I would
normally you
rest.
rest, and then class for funsies because it's 4th of July. Get you in, get you out, and then Saturday you got to do a 12K.
Yeah.
And then the 15K is next Sunday.
Mhm.
Intentional training using methods and principles.
Yeah.
Not just a workout factory. Tyler said nothing this episode. Thank you for coming. We're going to encourage him next time to say something. His voice is robust and rich,
Mhm.
like a nice Bordeaux. Okay.
Okay.
Like and subscribe. Thank you for all the comments. Mike Hughes, thank you for the jokes. Renata, good comments. I could talk to you in class. Tristan's probably gone, but hey, man, you really bumped up our algorithm. I appreciate you. And we'll see you guys next week for some more coaching stuff. Sneak, if you've made it this far, there's word on the street that Marissa is going to start her own live show by herself.
All right.
On
At nap
the
time?
Pack Instagram, YouTube.
Nice.
Okay.
I'll subscribe.
Wait, you're already subscribed. It's on the Pack YouTube, dude. Bro.
Nice.
All right. We'll see you guys. Look out for that. She's motivated to do it. Maybe if you know her, you could text her and get that peer pressure going.